On my anniversary, my son's wife declared, "You don't deserve this house anymore." She threw my wedding photos in the fireplace. My son stood frozen as she whispered, "It's our home now." I picked up the ashes and said softly, "This will be the last time you take what's mine." I'm a 63-year-old widow. My name is Darlene. I lived, in Rochester, Minnesota, in the same two-story house my late husband Ray and I bought 39 years ago. It's not some luxury place. Just a quiet neighborhood, brick siding, worn wooden porch, and a small garden I've tended for years. Every room in that house had memories. Some loud, some soft. Some good, some painful. But it was ours. Ray passed 10 years ago. Heart attack. One minute he was mowing the lawn, the next he was gone. I still remember the way the neighbor ran over, screaming for help. I never got to say goodbye. After that, it was just me and our son Marcus. Marcus was everything to me. I gave everything I had to raise him right. I worked 2 jobs when Ray got laid off for almost a year. I skipped meals some weeks so he could have enough for school lunches. I never bought myself anything new, not clothes, not shoes, just so he had everything he needed. And for a long time, I thought it paid off. He turned out good. Went to school, got a job in IT, and eventually met someone. Her name was Danielle. Danielle was the kind of person who fills a room before she even opens her mouth. Pretty, well-dressed, expensive taste. She talked fast, moved fast, and always seemed like she was pretending to be nice. There was something off about her smile. It didn't go to her eyes. Still, I welcomed her. I really tried. I made her favorite meals when she visited. I gave her a drawer in the guest room. I even gave her one of Ray's old books when she mentioned she liked reading. But she always acted like I was in the way. Like she was just tolerating me. After they got married, I saw less and less of Marcus. When I did see him, he seemed different. Quieter around me. Nervous even. Like he was walking on eggshells. Then 3 months ago, they showed up at my front door with 2 suitcases each. Just for a little while, Mom, Marcus said. We're having work done on the condo. I didn't even think about it. I opened the door. Set up the guest room. Moved some stuff into the attic to give them more space. They never left. The first few weeks were rocky. Danielle complained a lot. The water pressure. The smell of my cooking. The dated furniture. She said things like, "This house could be so much better with just a few updates, and you ever think about downsizing, Darlene? You'd love one of those retirement condos near the lake." I told her no. This was my home. I wasn't going anywhere. Then things started disappearing. A week after they moved in, Ray's toolbox was gone. When I asked Marcus about it, he shrugged and said Danielle had donated some stuff to Goodwill. Stuff? I asked. You mean your dad's tools? He just looked away. After that, the living room lamp vanished. The quilt my mother made me? Gone. The photo of me, Ray, and Marcus from his high school graduation? Taken off the wall and replaced with some abstract painting Danielle brought from her condo. Still, I tried to stay calm. I didn't want to fight with my son. I didn't want to make him choose. June 3rd was coming. My anniversary. Ray and I would have been married 40 years. I planned to do what I always did, light a candle, cook his favorite meal, play our song on the old record player. I even polished the good plates and set the table for 2, like I always did. It made me feel close to him, like he was still there. Danielle came home from work and saw the table set. She scoffed. You're doing this again? I didn't say anything. I just kept stirring the pot roast. Later that evening, I went to the bathroom. I was gone 10, maybe 15 minutes. When I came back, the table was empty. Candle blown out. Food thrown into the trash. Then I smelled smoke. I turned the corner into the living room and saw it. The fireplace was lit, and inside it, my wedding album was burning. I screamed. I ran to the fire, trying to grab it, but it was too late. The pages were curling up into ash. The photo of me and Ray on our wedding day, me in the lace dress I wore that my sister sewed by hand, was already gone. Danielle stood there with a glass of red wine, watching it burn like she was watching a movie. Calm. Smirking. Marcus came running downstairs in his pajama pants, hair messy. What's happening? She's gone crazy, Danielle said before I could speak. She was setting up dinner for a dead man again. I turned to Marcus. She burned our wedding photos. Your father's photos. Danielle didn't even flinch. It's our home now, Darlene. You don't deserve it anymore. You live in the past. And then, she looked at Marcus, eyes sharp, lips tight, and said something I'll never forget. It's time she let go. It's our home now. He didn't say a word. He didn't move. Just stood there like a scared little boy. I walked to the fireplace, reached in, and picked up the ashes with my bare hands. I didn't care if they burned me. I looked at both of them, shaking, heart pounding in my ears, and I said quietly, "This will be the last time you take what's mine." I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the car in the garage with the door open, windows down. Just sat there, breathing. Thinking. I had nowhere to go, but I knew I couldn't stay. Not without doing something. Not without fighting back. They think I'm weak because I'm old. Because I wear cardigans and make pot roast and still talk to my dead husband. But they forgot who raised Marcus. Who built that house into a home. Who worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. They forgot that I have fight left in me. And they're about to remember. After that night, everything in the house shifted. Danielle stopped pretending to be polite. She walked around like she owned the place, talking loud on speakerphone, leaving dishes everywhere, slamming doors when I was watching TV. She moved her makeup into my bathroom. My bathroom. She even tossed out my crocheted toilet cover and replaced it with one that had her initials on it. I started keeping my bedroom door locked. I only left it to cook or clean. My own house felt like prison. Marcus barely looked at me anymore. When he did, it was like he was ashamed. Or scared. I don't know which was worse. 2 weeks after the fireplace incident, I came home from my afternoon walk and found my bedroom door open. All my photo albums, gone. My jewelry box, empty. The closet. Cleared out. My heart dropped. I called for Marcus. He came upstairs, looking confused. What's going on? I pointed to the room. Where are my things? Danielle stepped into the doorway behind him, sipping coffee. Oh. You mean the junk from the 1980s? I moved it into the garage. We're converting this room into an office. You what? I said. She walked past me and started measuring the walls with her phone. Marcus and I need our own workspace. You still have the guest room. That twin bed should be fine for you. I stared at her. This is my bedroom. This is my house. She smiled without showing teeth. Not according to the county records. That's when it hit me. I ran to my file cabinet in the office. Well, what used to be the office before she filled it with her vision boards and candles, and grabbed the deed. I looked at it, my hands shaking. Marcus's name. Only his. I remember putting him on the deed 5 years ago after Ray died. Just in case anything happened to me. I never thought he'd take advantage of it. I never thought she would use it against me. I sat on the floor, breathing hard. Danielle walked by and whispered, "You really should have gotten a lawyer before handing over your life, Darlene." The next day, I went to the county clerk's office to get a copy of the current deed. They'd filed a quitclaim transfer last month. Danielle was on the title now, co-owner. I felt like I was going to throw up. I tried to talk to Marcus that night, just him and me. We sat in the backyard on the old swing Ray built. I told him everything I was feeling. That I didn't feel safe anymore. That I felt pushed out of my own life. That I knew about the deed. That I knew Danielle was trying to erase me. He looked down the whole time. Didn't say much. Just kept rubbing his hands together. When I asked him why he let her do it, he finally looked at me. She just wants what's best for us, Mom, he said. You're not being fair. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Fair? She burned my wedding album and threw out my things. She said you overreacted. You've been emotional lately. That's when I realized what Danielle had been planting in his head. She was painting me as unstable. Delusional. Emotional. Like some old woman losing her grip. I stood up and said, I gave you everything. And now you're handing it to someone who's destroying everything your father built. He didn't say a word. Just sat there like a coward. A week later, I got served. A formal notice. They wanted me out. They were evicting me. They said I was a tenant without a lease, and that they needed the space to grow their family. The woman at the sheriff's office looked at me with pity as she handed me the envelope. I didn't cry in front of her. I waited until I got to the car. I sat there, clutching the paper, staring at the courthouse steps. That was the day I stopped being afraid. I didn't have a lawyer. But I had something better, records. Receipts. Photos. Emails. Witnesses. I spent days scanning everything Ray and I had ever paid for, the down payment, the renovations, the taxes. All in my name. All on record. And I dug deeper. I found texts Danielle had sent to Marcus. I found emails where she talked about pushing the old bird out and finally getting rid of the clutter. Clutter. That's what she called me. I even found an old voicemail Marcus left me 2 years ago after Ray's anniversary. He said, "This house is yours forever, Mom. I don't care what anyone says." I recorded everything. Copied everything. Put it all on a flash drive and sent it to my friend Marie, an old coworker who worked in a paralegal's office downtown. She called me 2 days later and said, "Darlene, you've got something here. You need to fight this." So I did. But while I was building my case, things got worse at home. Danielle started unplugging the fridge when she went to work, just to spoil my food. My bathroom door handle mysteriously came off while I was inside. Once, I walked into the kitchen and saw her wiping down my tea mug, then placing it back without rinsing. I stopped drinking anything I didn't pour myself. Then came the straw that snapped my spine. She brought her mother in. Just for a few days, Danielle said. Her mother walked in, looked me up and down, and said, "Oh, I thought you'd be in a home by now." They gave her my room. I was pushed into the laundry nook with a cot. Marcus watched it all happen. Didn't stop it. Didn't even flinch. I knew then, I wasn't going to win him back. I wasn't going to save my relationship with him. But I was going to take my house back. And when I did, I was going to make sure they never saw it coming. A month into the eviction notice, while I was sleeping on that cot by the washer, I got a knock at the side door around 6 a.m. It was my neighbor, Hank. He and his wife Marla lived across the street for 30 years. Ray and I used to have coffee with them every Sunday. Hank looked tired. His gray flannel shirt was buttoned wrong, and his voice was low. "You all right, Darlene?" he asked. I nodded, lying through my teeth. He held up his phone and said, "You should see this." He handed it to me. On the screen was a real estate listing, my house. Pictures of the living room, the kitchen, the backyard. Danielle had even staged the place, took down the family photos, brought in fake plants, new pillows, and a stupid glass coffee table I'd never seen in my life. It was listed under Danielle's real estate company. She was selling my home right out from under me. Danielle said you were moving out and agreed to it, Hank said. That didn't seem right. I couldn't breathe for a second. My throat tightened. She wasn't just kicking me out. She was erasing me completely. Selling the house I gave everything to. The one I built with Ray from the ground up. Without even telling me. I didn't tell Marcus. I knew now that he wouldn't do anything. Either he didn't care, or she had him completely wrapped around her finger. I didn't care which anymore. So I went back inside, shut the door, and took the flash drive I'd given to Marie. I made 5 more copies. 1 for Hank. 1 for Marla. 1 for my cousin Ella, who used to work at City Hall. 1 for my pastor. And 1 I kept on me at all times. Then I made an appointment with the lawyer Marie recommended. A sharp woman named Ruth Delaney. No nonsense. Mid-50s. Used to sue nursing homes for elder abuse. When I sat in her office and laid out everything, photos, texts, Danielle's name on the listing, the forced eviction notice, she didn't smile. She just leaned back in her chair and said, "You're sitting on a powder keg." What does that mean? I asked. It means, it's time to light the match. That night, Danielle hosted a dinner party at the house. She invited her boss and some clients. I wasn't invited. Of course not. I was told to stay in the laundry area and not come out unless I needed the bathroom. So I waited. I waited until everyone was laughing in the dining room. Until the wine was flowing. Until Danielle started talking about how it was a difficult process getting the previous owner to move out, but she handled it all. Then I stepped into the room. I was wearing Ray's old sweater. I held the flash drive in my hand. And I looked every person in the eye and said, "Just so you know, I'm not the previous owner. I still live here." And she forged documents and tried to sell this house without my consent. The room went silent. Danielle dropped her fork. I turned to her boss, handed him the flash drive, and said, "There's enough proof on there to bury her license." Then I turned to Danielle. "You made a mistake thinking I was going to sit down and die quietly. I built this house. You just moved in." Marcus stood up, pale. "Mom, can we talk?" I looked him dead in the eyes. There's nothing left to talk about. I walked out and went straight to Ruth's office. 2 days later, Ruth filed an injunction with the court to block the sale of the house. She submitted a formal complaint with the Real Estate Licensing Board. She even got a temporary restraining order against Danielle on the grounds of psychological harassment and elder abuse. That wasn't even the twist. The twist came when Ruth uncovered Danielle's financials. She'd been using Marcus's identity to apply for credit cards in his name, racking up debt. Over $40,000. She'd taken out a home equity line of credit, on my house, without telling him. Signed his name. Faked emails. It was fraud. Straight up fraud. Marcus didn't even know. He looked like someone had punched him in the stomach when he saw the bank statements Ruth showed him. That's when he finally started to crack. He called me the next night, crying. She said it was just temporary. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know. I stayed quiet. I was stupid. I let her take control of everything. I thought she was helping. I didn't know she was doing all this behind my back. He asked if I could forgive him. I didn't answer. But I wasn't done. See, Ruth also found something else buried in the paperwork from when Ray died. A loophole. The transfer of deed to Marcus. It was conditional. There was a clause Ray had added in the will. As long as my spouse, Darlene, remains living in the home as her primary residence, the property shall not be sold, transferred, or altered without her written consent. It wasn't just my house in spirit. Legally, it was mine. Every single brick. Danielle had committed fraud. Marcus had violated the terms of the trust. The real estate board opened an ethics case. Her license was suspended pending investigation. Her name was flagged in the county system. And the house sale? Shut down. Permanently. I wasn't done yet. But for the first time in months, I slept in a real bed. Mine. After the real estate board froze the listing, Danielle lost her mind. She screamed at Marcus for selling her out, called me every name you can think of, and even threw a vase at the wall before storming out that night with 2 suitcases and her dog. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't even look back. 3 days later, her company fired her. Word got around fast. Especially with the flash drive Ruth handed to her boss. Once the fraud, the fake listing, and the identity theft came out, they had no choice. Her real estate license was suspended first. Then fully revoked. That wasn't all. Ruth helped me file charges for elder financial abuse, fraud, harassment, and destruction of personal property. Danielle was arrested within the month. The look on her face when the officers walked her out of her new office in handcuffs. I'll never forget it. That smug little smirk was gone. She looked like a wet cat. Her trial took months, but the evidence was airtight. Emails, voice messages, the forged signatures, the witness statements, especially Hank's and Marla's. She tried to lie her way out of everything, even tried blaming Marcus. Said he pressured her and she was just trying to help him gain independence. The jury didn't buy it. She was sentenced to 18 months in county jail with 5 years of probation and a permanent bar from ever working in real estate again. That was justice. But it didn't end there. Marcus tried to stay. After Danielle was arrested, he tried to act like everything could go back to normal. Like I could just forget that he stood there while she destroyed my wedding album. Like I could forget how he let her throw me into a laundry corner like a stray dog. He cried. He apologized again and again. I was weak, he said. I didn't know how to stand up to her. But I'd heard enough. I raised a man, I told him. But you chose to be a boy when I needed you most. He begged me to let him stay. Said he could fix things. Even offered to put the deed back in my name. But that's when I told him, it already is. You lost the right to be here the moment you stood there and watched her destroy the only photo I had left of your father. He left the next morning. Quiet. No bags. Just a duffel and his car keys. I watched him drive away from the same porch Ray built with his bare hands. I cried for 2 hours after he was gone. Not because I missed him. But because I finally let go of the hope that he'd ever be the son I remembered. In the months that followed, I took my house back piece by piece. I repainted the bedroom walls. I restored the old furniture Danielle had tried to toss. I planted sunflowers in the backyard where she used to smoke. I printed new wedding photos from the negatives I had tucked away in Ray's toolbox, yes, the one Danielle tried to throw out but Hank had rescued from the curb. I even replaced the rug in the living room with one that matched the one we had in the 80s. Soft beige, same exact pattern. I found it at a second-hand store, and it made me cry when I rolled it out. And on the anniversary of our 40th year, the day she burned our wedding album, I lit a new candle. Same table. Same pot roast. Ray's old record player spinning in the corner. But this time, I set one plate. Just for me. Because I didn't lose. Because I fought back. Because they thought they could steal my life, my memories, my home. But I am still here. And they are not. Epilogue. Danielle served her sentence. Last I heard, she moved to a small apartment in Duluth. No job, no license, no Marcus. Marcus moved out of state. I get a card from him every Christmas. Sometimes it says, I love you. Sometimes it doesn't say anything at all. I don't write back. Because I'm done raising men who don't protect what matters. Now I live alone, but I'm not lonely. I have peace. I have my home. And above the fireplace, where she once burned my wedding album, I placed a framed photo of me and Ray on our wedding day, reprinted, restored, and stronger than ever. Just like me.